Hello. Could you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, yes, my name is Lena Yuslov. I'm 26 years old. I was born in Russia. At age 10, we moved to Greece with my family. And we stayed in Greece for a little while, but then we moved to the United States after that.
Good. What do you know about the Soviet Union?
From 1924 to 1991, the system was the socialist system. And Mikhail Gorbachev was the last president of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union covered many countries such as Ukraine, Lithuania, and Armenia.
Okay. What did change in life after collapse of the Soviet Union?
I don't really remember much because I was 10 years old when I moved to Greece and then to the United States, but as my grandparents tell me and as my father tells me, people, if they wanted to leave, they needed permission. So they would have to take permission from the government to leave, but the government usually didn't give them the permission. And after the collapse, there had been a lot of disadvantages on the people because there was an economic crisis. People couldn't find jobs. They couldn't find any money to buy fundamental supplies. People weren't getting enough food. Sick people couldn't get their medicine. And people began to sell their things, the things that they had at home, just to get money to buy fundamental supplies. But usually they ran out of things to sell. Like, for instance, my grandfather, he was a diabetic and he really needed insulin to survive. And after a while, sadly, he passed away because we couldn't get him any. And that's when a lot of things changed. And then the government began to help people. Like, when people didn't have jobs, the government began to give out money to the people who weren't working. But there were also many advantages of the collapse of the Soviet Union. The advantage was that my family got very lucky because my father's friend found him a job outside of Russia. So we moved. We were already planning on going to the United States, but first we had to go to Greece and then from Greece to the United States. But when we went to the United States, my family had a lot of problems because we went there, we didn't have any relatives, we didn't know anybody. As my parents tell me, they had a lot of tough times and they had trouble learning the language because they didn't speak any English. And it's necessary to speak English to work in a stable job in the United States. My mom was very stressed out because my dad was always coming home and having a tough time. And I know a lot of other people who had tough times after they left, after the Soviet Union had collapsed. For instance, my aunt was a pediatrician in Russia, but now that the economic crisis was in, she had to leave the country and she went to Italy and worked as a maid after being a pediatrician, which was absolutely crazy because she was a doctor in the first place and she had to become a maid when she went to another country because she too didn't speak the language and everything was different, everything changed. She didn't have any relatives either. And you know, back then in the time it was different because you're coming from a different country and you may not have been welcomed that much by those people in a different country. Also, I don't really remember much, but my sister, she's 35 years old, she remembers a lot. She always tells me about the tough times that they had, and she also came with us to the United States. And now we both go to school. She graduated. She went to school here. And we learned English. My parents learned English, and everything is much better now.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.